Hello, bedtime thinkers, and welcome to the Bedtime Discoveries. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. Settle in, find a comfortable place to rest, and allow your mind to soften as we drift together. Tonight, we'll be exploring something very close to us, something that lives within us every single day. We'll be learning about emotions, what they are, where they come from, and why they play such an important role in our lives. From joy to sadness, from love to fear, emotions are like colors, painting the canvas of our human experience. Before we begin our gentle exploration, I would love to know, where are you listening from tonight? And what time is it where you are? Feel free to share it in the comments below. It's always so heartwarming to see our bedtime community stretching across the world. And if you find peace in these bedtime discoveries, please softly tap the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue creating these calming journeys. Hello again, dear listener. Tonight, as you rest and allow your body to soften into stillness, let us begin a gentle journey into the very beginnings of emotions, the ancient story of why we feel it all. Emotions may seem at first glance like something modern, something tied to our personal lives, our joys and our struggles. But in truth, emotions are older than humanity itself. They stretch back far into the history of life on Earth, back into the depths of time, long before we stood upright, long before we spoke words, long before we imagined stars or wrote stories. If we wish to understand emotions, we must travel in our minds to those ancient times, to a world where survival was the only law and life was fragile. Imagine a tiny creature in the prehistoric seas, a small animal, defenseless, searching for food. When danger approached, it needed a way to respond quickly. It could not stop to think, to reason, to weigh options. Instead, it needed an instant system, a wave of feeling that said, "This is dangerous, run," or "This is good, approach." And so, the first stirrings of emotion were born. Fear, perhaps, was among the earliest. Fear was a gift. It made creatures freeze, hide, or flee. Without it, they would be eaten or lost to time. Alongside fear, there was attraction, a sense of seeking what nourishes: food, warmth, safety, companionship. These primitive sensations were not yet the complex emotions we know today, but they were the roots, the first sparks of what would later blossom into joy, sadness, love, anger, and awe. As evolution carried on, emotions became more refined. Think of early mammals, creatures that nurtured their young with care. For them, bonding was vital. A mother who felt nothing for her offspring would not protect them, but one who felt attachment, tenderness, and even distress when separated would ensure the survival of her young. And so, affection became a powerful emotional tool. Slowly, life discovered that emotions were not only useful, they were essential. Imagine now a small group of early humans gathered around a fire. The night is dark, filled with sounds they cannot see. Fear keeps them close together, near the warmth, near the safety of light. Love for their family keeps them bound as a group. Joy lifts their spirits when food is shared. Anger defends their territory when others approach. Every emotion, every rise and fall of feeling carried a meaning that was bigger than the moment. Emotions were survival, woven into every heartbeat. But as humans evolved further, emotions did more than protect. They began to enrich. They made music sweeter, stories more meaningful, life more colorful. They transformed bare survival into something deeper, into connection, art, and wonder. Science today tells us that emotions are part of what is called an evolutionary adaptation. This means that they were shaped carefully over countless generations because they help creatures live longer, stay safer, and pass on their genes. Just as wings help birds take to the sky, just as fins helped fish swim in oceans, emotions helped humans navigate the endless complexity of life. Consider anger. On the surface, it may seem destructive, but in the ancient world, anger gave strength, courage, and determination to fight when threatened. Or sadness, which may seem heavy and unwelcome. Yet sadness often brings others close, drawing comfort and support from the group. Every emotion has its place, its purpose born out of necessity. Even joy, the lightest and most radiant of feelings, served survival. Joy rewarded us for doing what was good for life, finding food, forming friendships, building families. Joy whispered, "This is good, do it again." Without joy, we would not be drawn toward the very things that sustain us. And so, emotions are not random storms of the heart. They are the echoes of survival, shaped by evolution, written into our DNA. They are ancient, far older than cities, older than language, older than the very idea of human culture. When we feel, we are touching something timeless. Let us pause here, dear listener, and take a slow, steady breath in and out as you breathe. Remember, every heartbeat you feel, every wave of emotion that rises within you, is connected to this long story. The fears of tiny creatures, the joy of mothers protecting their young, the bonds of early humans around their fires, all of that flows forward into you. The origin of emotions is the story of life itself. And now we will journey deeper. In the next part, we'll explore more stories, more details, and more general reflections on how emotions emerged and evolved across the ages. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the Earth millions of years ago. A world alive with strange creatures, forests untouched, skies filled with ancient birds. Life was wild, unpredictable, and often dangerous. In this unpredictable world, emotions were not luxuries. They were tools of survival. Imagine a herd of early mammals grazing in an open field. Suddenly, a predator emerges from the shadows. Without the spark of fear, the animals would not react in time. But with fear surging through their bodies, their hearts race, their muscles tense, and they scatter to safety. Fear becomes life-saving. Now, imagine that same herd when danger is past. They gather together again, close and calm. A sense of comfort, of safety, settles over them. They press close, resting in each other's warmth. This, too, is emotion, the quiet relief, the soft bond of being together, safe and alive. From these primal responses, emotions grew more complex. They began to shape not only how creatures survived, but how they lived. Over generations, animals that responded to emotions in helpful ways survived more often. And slowly, emotions became embedded in their biology, passed forward, carried into the future. For early humans, emotions guided nearly every choice. Fear kept them safe from wild animals. Anger defended their group from rivals. Joy encouraged them to share food and laughter, binding the tribe closer. Sadness reminded them to grieve, to hold on to each other when someone was lost. Even disgust, sharp and unpleasant, protected them from spoiled food and sickness. In many ways, emotions were like an invisible compass, pointing toward what was good for survival and away from what was dangerous. But there is more to the story. Emotions also shape cooperation. Consider this: a single human, alone, was vulnerable, but a group, united by emotional bonds, could survive in ways no lone hunter could. Love for family, loyalty to the group, trust in companions. These feelings wove humans together into tribes, villages, and eventually civilizations. Science tells us that emotions are part of what is called social evolution. This means that survival did not depend only on the individual, but on the strength of the group. Emotions like compassion, empathy, and affection encourage humans to care for one another. A mother fed her child not only because of instinct, but because of deep emotional love. Friends protected each other because of loyalty and trust. And whole tribes endured hardship because their emotional bonds kept them united. Now, imagine one of the earliest human families. A parent sees their child stumble, scrape a knee, and cry. The sound of crying sparks emotion in the parent, concern, empathy, and tenderness. The parent soothes the child, holds them close, and offers safety. That emotional exchange strengthens their bond and increases the child's chance of survival. Without these feelings, life would have been colder, harsher, and far more fragile. Even today, those same emotions guide us. The comfort of a hug, the spark of fear on a dark street, the warmth of laughter shared with friends. They are not modern inventions. They are echoes of countless generations, of mothers, fathers, tribes, and families who fell before us. There's also something deeply beautiful in how emotions connect us not only to survival, but to meaning. Long ago, when early humans first painted on cave walls, emotions were part of that act. Awe at the stars, reverence for animals, joy and creativity. All of these feelings inspired art and ritual. Emotions transform simple survival into culture. When you stand in front of an ancient cave painting today, you are not only looking at art, you are looking at emotion, preserved across tens of thousands of years. A feeling that someone once had, carried through time, still able to touch you. Pause with me here and take another gentle breath. In and out. Notice how your own emotions rise and fall with these images in your mind. That is the quiet magic of feelings. They carry stories across generations, across time itself. Scientists also believe that emotions were a kind of shortcut for the brain. Instead of carefully analyzing every situation, which could take too long, emotions offered instant guidance. Fear told you to run. Anger told you to fight. Joy told you to keep doing what you were doing. Disgust told you to avoid something harmful. Quick, simple, yet powerful. This efficiency helped humans act fast, when thinking too long might mean danger. And yet, emotions were never only about danger. They also shaped love, care, and beauty. Think of two people looking at a sunset. The sight fills them with awe, calm, and connection. That shared feeling brings them closer. And from that bond, families and communities grow. The origin of emotions, then, is not just a story of survival. It is also the story of connection, of creatures learning not only to stay alive, but to stay together. When you feel, you are not only experiencing your own life, you are carrying within you millions of years of evolution, millions of small decisions made by countless creatures before you. Each heartbeat, each rush of feeling, is part of this ancient story. And so, emotions are both deeply personal and profoundly universal. They belong to you in your quietest moments, but they also belong to every human who has ever lived, and every creature who once depended on them. Take comfort in that thought, dear listener. When you feel joy or sadness or fear, you are never truly alone. You are part of an ancient chorus, a flow of life that stretches back into the beginning of time. we will continue this gentle journey. In the next part, we'll look even deeper at how these early emotions shaped the human story and how, slowly, they became the rich, complex feelings we know today. Let us continue our gentle exploration. We have seen how emotions began as tools of survival, how fear kept our ancestors safe, how love held families together, and how joy encouraged connection. But now, let us move closer to understand how these simple, ancient signals blossomed into the rich, colorful world of emotions we experience today. Imagine, for a moment, a very early human standing at the edge of a forest, watching the sky turn golden with the setting sun. The air is cool, the light soft, and for just a moment, this early human feels something, not only relief that the day is ending, not only safety in the nearness of the tribe, but a deeper stirring awe, perhaps, or wonder. This is where emotions began to expand, from basic signals of danger and safety into experiences that touched meaning, beauty, and imagination. Where fear once only said, run, it now also taught caution, wisdom, and the importance of planning for future. Where joy once said, eat, bond, survive, it now also became laughter, creativity, and celebration. Slowly, emotions began to shape not only survival, but the human spirit. Scientists believe this expansion happened as the human brain grew larger, especially the parts that allowed for memory, imagination, and reflection. When the mind could remember the past, it could also re-feel the emotions of those memories. When the mind could imagine the future, it could also experience anticipation, hope, and even anxiety. Think of it this way. For a small animal, fear is a momentary reaction, a quick escape from a predator. But for humans, fear can stretch across time. We can fear what has not yet happened. We can even fear things that exist only in our imagination. And while this can sometimes be heavy, it also shows how emotions evolved into something far more complex. They became woven not just into survival, but into thought, memory, and meaning. Another fascinating part of this story is how emotions gave rise to language, and how language, in turn, deepened emotions. Imagine early humans trying to comfort each other after danger, trying to share the joy of a successful hunt, trying to express sorrow at the loss of someone loved. Words began as simple sounds, but slowly those sounds carried feelings. And once emotions could be spoken, they became even more powerful. Language allowed people to share what was inside, to say I am afraid or I love you, to carry their emotions into the minds of others. This was more than survival. This was the beginning of connection on a deeper human level. And with this, emotions stopped being purely private. They became shared. They became bridges between hearts and minds. Even today, when you tell someone about your feelings, you are continuing this ancient process. You are not only surviving, you are connecting, creating meaning, carrying forward the long history of emotions. Think, too, of music long before written words. Humans use rhythm, drumming, and song. Why? Because music carries emotion. A steady beat can stir courage. A soft melody can soothe sorrow. Music was perhaps the first language of the heart, a way to share emotions without words. And so, emotions were not only born from survival, they were also the seeds of culture, art, and spirituality. Let us reflect for a moment. Why do humans paint, sing, tell stories, or dance? It is not only to survive. It is to feel, to express, to share emotions with others. A painting is not only color. It is emotion captured in strokes. A song is not only sound, it is feeling carried on waves of air. Stories are not only events, they are emotions wrapped in words. The origin of emotions, then, is also the origin of humanity as we know it. Without emotions, we may have lived, but would we have created? Would we have dreamed? Science also shows that emotions became more complex. As humans began to live in larger groups, when life was simple, fear and joy may have been enough. But in bigger communities, new feelings were needed, like guilt, shame, pride, and empathy. Why guilt? Because in a group, cooperation mattered. If someone hurt another, guilt could encourage them to make amends. Why pride? Because feeling proud of helping the group encouraged generosity and bravery. Why empathy? Because sensing the pain of another strengthened bonds, ensuring survival together. Each new layer of society, each new stage of human culture, brought with it new layers of emotion. And so, what began as simple signals in the body, fear to run, joy to stay, became the vast inner world we carry today. Now, pause once again, dear listener. Take a long, slow breath in and gently let it go. Feel the calm rise within you and notice the quiet truth that every emotion you have ever felt, every joy, every sorrow, every flutter of love or spark of fear, is part of a story older than words. It is the story of life itself, of creatures learning to stay alive, to come together, to create meaning. The origin of emotions is not only about the past. It lives inside you, in every heartbeat, in every tear, in every smile. When you feel you are touching something ancient and beautiful, a thread that connects you to all who came before. And now, we bring this keynote gently to a pause. We have wandered through beginnings of emotions, from the survival of tiny creatures in ancient seas, to the bonds of families, to the growth of language, music, and meaning. This is where emotions were born. This is where they began their long journey, a journey we will continue exploring together as we move to the next gentle discovery. Dear listener, now that we have traced the ancient origins of emotions, let us move inward into the quiet landscape of the human brain. It is here, within the folds of this remarkable organ, that emotions rise, take shape, and flow through us. The brain is not only a thinker, it is also a feeler. And tonight, we will walk slowly, gently, through the parts of the brain that cradle our emotions. Imagine holding a walnut in your hand, small, ridged, and compact. Your brain, though far more intricate, is not much larger than two fists placed together. Yet within it are billions of cells, each one pulsing with electrical whispers, each one part of a great conversation. When you laugh, cry, feel fear, or fall in love, it is this quiet electrical orchestra that plays the music of emotion. At the very center of this orchestra is something called the limbic system. This is an ancient part of the brain, sometimes called the emotional brain. It lies beneath the newer, outer layers, tucked deep inside, like the roots of a tree beneath its branches. The limbic system includes several structures: the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and more. Each one has a special role. Together, they shape how we feel, how we react, and how we remember. Let's begin with the amygdala. Its name comes from the Greek word for almond, and if you could see it, you would find it small, just the size of an almond, resting deep in the brain. Though tiny, it is powerful. The amygdala is like an alarm system. When danger is near, it lights up, sending signals to the rest of the body. It quickens the heartbeat, sharpens attention, and prepares muscles to run or fight. But the amygdala is not only about fear. It also helps us recognize joy, sadness, and emotions in others' faces. It tunes us to the feelings of the world around us. Without the amygdala, life would feel strangely flat, without the quick sparks of reaction that keep us safe and connected. Next, let's look at the hippocampus. This part of the brain curls gently like a seahorse in shape. And just as a seahorse carries itself gracefully through the sea, the hippocampus carries our memories through time. When you remember your first day at school or the sound of a loved one's voice, your hippocampus is at work. But memory and emotion are not separate. They weave together. The hippocampus helps store memories, while the amygdala colors them with feeling. This is why the happiest moments of your life feel bright and unforgettable, and why painful times can linger so strongly. Then there is the hypothalamus. Tiny yet mighty, it acts like a bridge between the mind and the body. When the amygdala senses fear, the hypothalamus releases signals that flood the body with stress hormones. Your heart races, your breath quickens, your muscles prepare. In this way, the hypothalamus turns emotions into physical experiences. It reminds us that feelings are not only thoughts. They live in the body too. Together, the amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus form a kind of core for our emotions, but they do not work alone. The outer layers of the brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, join the conversation too. The prefrontal cortex sits just behind your forehead. It is the wise, reflective part of the brain. It listens to the emotions rising from the limbic system and then helps decide how to respond. Think of the amygdala as a spark and the prefrontal cortex as a calm hand that holds a spark, guides it, and prevents it from burning too wildly. Without the prefrontal cortex, we would act on every impulse of emotion, but with it, we learn patience, restraint, and understanding. Pause with me here and take a slow, steady breath. Notice how even the act of breathing can quiet the mind. In this moment, your prefrontal cortex is soothing your limbic system, reminding your body that you are safe. This harmony between the quick reactions of the amygdala and the calm reflections of the cortex is what allows us to be both emotional and thoughtful beings. Science has shown, through brain scans and careful studies, that emotions light up specific regions of the brain. Joy activates areas linked to reward and pleasure. Fear ignites the amygdala. Sadness engages networks that tie memory and empathy together. It is as if the brain has its own map of emotions, with different neighborhoods glowing, depending on what we feel. And yet, the brain does not separate emotions into neat boxes. Instead, it weaves them together. Happiness can mingle with nostalgia. Fear can blend with excitement. Love can carry both joy and worry. This blending is what makes emotions so rich and so human. Think for a moment about falling in love. Your amygdala reacts to the sight of someone special. Your hypothalamus releases oxytocin and dopamine. Your hippocampus stores a memory of your time together, and your prefrontal cortex reflects on the meaning of it all. Every part of the brain is speaking, weaving together thought, memory, and feeling into the complex tapestry we simply call love. Is it not beautiful? that something as invisible as emotion is held so carefully within the quiet folds of the brain. And so, dear listener, as we close this first part of our journey into the brain, remember this: emotions are not random storms. They rise from deep within the brain, from ancient structures that kept our ancestors alive, and from thoughtful regions that help us find meaning today. Your brain is not only an organ of thought, it is also a garden of feelings, each one blooming, each one carrying a story, each one shaping the way you live and connect. Now, let us journey a little deeper. We have seen how the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex work together to shape emotions, but the brain's story of feeling does not end there. Emotions flow across many regions, like a river branching into countless streams, each one touching a different part of who we are. Imagine for a moment a symphony orchestra. The amygdala may strike the first sharp note, the hypothalamus may set the rhythm with the body, and the prefrontal cortex may guide the melody with thoughtful hands. But beyond these, there are many other instruments in play, each adding its own voice to the music of emotion. One of these instruments is the insula, a small, hidden region of the brain, tucked deep inside the folds of cortex. The insula is like a translator between body and mind. It notices the flutter of your heartbeat, the warmth in your stomach when you're nervous, the sinking heaviness when you're sad, when you feel a lump in your throat while holding back tears, or butterflies in your belly when excited. That is your insula at work. The insula reminds us that emotions are not only thoughts in the mind, they are sensations in the body, woven into every breath and pulse. Another voice in this orchestra is the cingulate cortex. This part helps us focus on emotional experiences and decide how to act upon them. It is the bridge between feeling and doing. Imagine being in a difficult situation, perhaps a disagreement with someone you love. Your amygdala might flare with anger. Your insula may send tension into your chest, but your cingulate cortex helps you focus to decide, should I shout? Should I stay calm? Should I walk away, or should I listen? Without the cingulate cortex, we would feel deeply, but struggle to act wisely. Now let us pause for a breath, in and out, just as your brain gently balances its many voices. Let your breath balance your mind. The brain also weaves emotions into learning. This is where the hippocampus, which we met earlier, joins hands with the prefrontal cortex. When something emotional happens, perhaps a joyful birthday or a painful accident, the hippocampus stores the memory, while the prefrontal cortex reflects on it, deciding what lesson to carry forward. This is why emotional memories stay with us so vividly. The brain wants us to learn, to remember, to prepare for tomorrow. But emotions are not only about reacting to the world. They are also about imagining. The brain can create emotions without anything happening outside us. Think of a dream. In the quiet of sleep, you may feel fear, joy, or sadness, all without any real event. The brain creates emotions from its own inner images. Or think of anticipation, waiting for a loved one to return, or for a long-awaited journey to begin. Nothing has happened yet, and still, the brain fills us with emotion. This ability to imagine feelings is one of the reasons humans are so unique. We can feel across time, reaching into the past with memory, and into the future with hope or worry. Science also shows us that emotions are not limited to one small corner of the brain. They arise from networks, webs of connections spanning far and wide. For example, when you laugh, not only the limbic system, but also motor areas of the brain are engaged. Your face moves, your voice echoes with sound. When you feel compassion, your brain activates both emotional centers and regions linked to understanding others' perspectives. It is as if the brain invites many players to join in the dance of each feeling. Now, let us return for a moment to the prefrontal cortex, this quiet, guiding presence behind your forehead. In moments of strong emotion, this region is often the calm voice that says, pause, breathe, consider. Think of a child, angry and impulsive, without much development in the prefrontal cortex. They may shout or lash out quickly, but as the brain matures, this region strengthens and self-control becomes easier. Even as adults, when we practice mindfulness or calm breathing, we are strengthening the prefrontal cortex, giving it more power to guide our emotions gently. This balance between the emotional limbic system and the thoughtful cortex is what allows humans not only to feel, but to understand feelings, to name them, to shape them, to turn raw impulses into compassion, art, or wisdom. Pause again, dear friend. Take another deep, slow breath in and out. As you do, notice how your own brain is gently guiding your emotions, calming you, softening your thoughts. It is also important to see that no two brains feel emotions in exactly the same way. Genetics, experiences, and culture all shape how the networks of emotion grow. One person may feel fear strongly, another may feel it lightly. One may find deep joy in music, another in quiet moments of nature. The brain is not fixed. It is always changing, always rewiring with each experience. This plasticity allows emotions to grow, to heal, and to transform over time. Think of someone who has suffered a loss. At first, the brain is flooded with grief. The amygdala signals sadness. The hippocampus replays memories. The body aches with sorrow. But over months and years, the prefrontal cortex slowly reshapes these feelings, helping the person find peace, allowing them to carry memories without as much pain. The brain does not erase emotions. It learns to hold them differently. And so, dear listener, the role of the brain in emotion is both simple and astonishing. It begins with ancient alarm systems, tiny structures that kept our ancestors alive. It grows into complex networks, allowing us to feel across time, to imagine, to connect, to reflect. The brain is not only the seat of thought, it is the gentle conductor of the symphony of feelings. Every heartbeat of fear, every sigh of relief, every tear, every laugh, all of it rises from this extraordinary organ, quietly resting within you. We have walked through the brain's emotional pathways, the amygdala's spark of fear, the insula's whispers from the body, the prefrontal cortex's gentle hand of reason. But now let us step back and look at the whole picture, the living harmony between all these parts. Picture your brain as a great city at night, countless lights twinkling in the dark, streets weaving in every direction, bridges glowing with movement. Each district of the city has its role. Some watch for danger, some create plans, some bring comfort, some preserve memory. When you feel an emotion, the city comes alive. Signals rush down its glowing streets. Bridges spark with activity, and the lights shift and dance in patterns unique to each feeling. No single light or street creates the whole emotion. Instead, it is the city as a whole, alive and moving. that makes you feel joy, sadness, fear, or love. Take joy, for example. When you laugh with a friend, your limbic system fires with delight. Your motor cortex shapes the smile on your face. Your auditory centers carry the sound of laughter, and your brain's reward pathways release a warm wash of pleasure. Or take fear. In a sudden moment, the amygdala flares like a warning siren. The hypothalamus sends signals down into your chest. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your attention sharpens. The brain is not simply thinking an emotion, it is embodying it, spreading it through thought, body, and memory, all at once. Now let us pause here and notice something important. The brain does not only generate emotions, it also listens to them. There is a loop, a circle, between body and mind. When your heart races, your brain interprets it as fear, excitement, or love, depending on the context. When your stomach feels light, your brain may read it as nervousness or joy. This means the brain and body are in constant conversation, each shaping the other. If you take a slow, deep breath now, your brain feels it, and emotions soften. If you smile gently, even without a reason, your brain notices the movement of your face, and you may feel a small lift of happiness. The brain is always listening, always adjusting its emotional map to what the body is saying. And then there is awareness. A unique gift of the human brain is not only to feel an emotion, but to know that we are feeling it. When sadness comes, you may think, I am sad. When joy comes, you may reflect, I am happy. This ability to step back, to notice the feeling as it happens, is called meta-awareness. It is this awareness that allows us to soothe ourselves, to guide our choices, to share emotions with others in words or art. Without it, we would simply ride the storm of feelings blindly. With it, we can steer gently, even through the strongest waves. Science has also revealed that the brain changes with practice. When people meditate, or regularly calm themselves with breathing, or train their attention, the connections in the prefrontal cortex strengthen. The amygdala may become less reactive, less quick to alarm. The insula may become more sensitive, allowing a person to notice feelings earlier and respond with care. In this way, the brain is not a fixed machine. It is a living garden. And each time we pause, breathe, and reflect, we are tending to this garden of emotion. Now, let me tell you a story. There was once a man who lived near the ocean. He had always been fearful of storms. When dark clouds gathered, his amygdala would blaze with alarm. His heart would pound. His breath would tighten. But over time, he began to sit quietly by the shore, watching the waves rise and fall. At first, fear would still grip him, but slowly, with each calm breath, his prefrontal cortex learned to guide him. The signals of danger grew quieter, and his insula began to notice something else. The rhythm of the waves, the coolness of the wind, the beauty in the storm. Eventually, the storms no longer frightened him. His brain had reshaped its networks, turning fear into respect and alarm into awe. This is the power of the brain, to not only create emotions, but to transform them. Let us pause once more and reflect together. Close your eyes if you wish, and notice your breath. Imagine your own brain glowing softly within you, alive with billions of tiny lights. Each spark of thought, each ripple of feeling, all working together in harmony. This orchestra of lights and sounds. the city of connections, is who you are. It is the home of your memories, the guide of your actions, the gentle conductor of your emotions. And so, dear listener, the role of the brain in emotion is vast and wondrous. It is not one part, but many, weaving together body, thought, memory, and awareness. It feels, it remembers, it guides, it transforms. Every laugh you share, every tear you shed, every quiet sigh at the end of the day, all are shaped by this extraordinary organ, nestled safely inside your skull. The brain is not only the source of logic and reason, it is the cradle of feeling, the lantern of empathy, the mirror of your inner world. And with this, we complete our gentle exploration of how the brain shapes our emotions. We have seen how the brain, with all its glowing pathways and circuits, guides our emotions. But there is another layer, quieter yet deeply powerful, the language of chemicals, the messengers that flow inside us, carrying signals between cells, shaping the way we feel. These messengers are called neurotransmitters and hormones. They are like tiny letters, sent from one cell to another, delivered through rivers of fluid, received at delicate doorways on the surface of neurons. Each message whispers a feeling, a sensation, an emotional color to paint our inner world. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a great theater. The brain provides the stage, the actors, the lights, but the chemicals are the mood itself, the warm glow of happiness, the sharp edge of fear, the soothing calm of safety. Without these messengers, the play of emotions would fall silent. Let us meet a few of these invisible players. Dopamine, often called the chemical of reward. It flickers when you taste something sweet, when you hear good news, when you achieve a small goal. Dopamine says, yes, keep going. This is good. It drives motivation, curiosity, the small sparks of joy that guide us toward what we love. But dopamine is not only pleasure. It is also the energy behind seeking, the anticipation before the gift is opened, the hope that pulls us forward. Too little of it, and life can feel heavy. Motivation drained away. Too much, and one may chase endlessly, never satisfied. Serotonin, the quiet stabilizer. It flows gently, bringing balance to mood, a steadying hand against the turbulence of thought. When serotonin is strong, the world feels more grounded, more manageable, as if the waters are calm. This chemical is tied to sunlight, to sleep, to nutrition. It is why a walk outside, a meal shared, or a night of rest can lift the spirit so deeply. Serotonin does not shout. It soothes. It whispers. You are safe. Stay steady. You are okay. Oxytocin, the bonding messenger. Release when we hug, when we hold a child, when we trust a friend. It is sometimes called a love hormone, but it is more than love. It is connection, trust, the feeling of belonging. Think of the warmth you feel when someone holds your hand, that soft wave of comfort, of being seen and accepted. That is oxytocin flowing gently through your blood. These are the guardians of survival. When danger appears, they surge into the bloodstream, quickening the heart, sharpening the senses, tightening the muscles. They are not gentle, but they are necessary. They prepare you to run, to fight, to survive. In the ancient wild, these messengers kept our ancestors alive. But in modern life, when threats are not tigers or storms, But deadlines and worries, their constant presence can weigh on us. This is why rest and recovery, calm moments like this one, are so important. They tell the body, it is safe now. You may breathe. Endorphins, the body's natural comforters, released in laughter, in exercise, even in tears. They soften pain, wrap the mind in a gentle blanket, and bring small sparks of euphoria. They are why a run can clear the head, why a deep laugh can leave you glowing, why even a sad movie can feel strangely soothing. Endorphins remind us that within us lies the ability to ease our own suffering. Now, imagine these chemicals together, weaving a tapestry. No single one creates an emotion alone. Happiness, for example, is not only dopamine, not only serotonin, not only oxytocin, but a blending of all in the right balance at the right time. Fear is not just adrenaline, but also the brain's interpretation, the body's signals, the memory of past danger. Our emotions are like music. The instruments are chemicals. The players are neurons. And the song is the feeling itself. Let me tell you a gentle story. A woman once walked every morning in her garden. At first, she did it only to move her body, but slowly she noticed a change. The sun warmed her skin, her serotonin lifted, her laughter at the chirping birds. Endorphins glowed. Her smile at a neighbor's wave. Oxytocin flowed. And when she reached the small bench at the edge, her dopamine whispered, "Well done, you made it again." Each day, her body's messengers wove their song, and she felt her spirit brighten. This is the quiet miracle of our chemistry. That simple acts, gentle routines, can shift the entire orchestra of emotion within us. Now pause with me, take a slow breath in, and let it out gently. As you do, know that chemicals are moving within you, tiny messengers flowing, each one shaping how you feel in this moment. Your calm breath increases serotonin, reduces cortisol, and brings balance to the body. Even here, in this soft moment of listening, your chemistry is shifting, your emotions adjusting, your inner world becoming just a little more peaceful. So, dear listener, our emotions are not only thoughts, not only memories, but also rivers of molecules flowing quietly inside us. These chemical messengers carry joy, fear, calm, and love. They weave through the brain, through the body, and together they help create the tapestry of what it feels like to be alive. We have met some of the most well-known chemical messengers, but the story of emotions chemistry runs even deeper. It is not only about individual molecules, but about balance, about timing, about the delicate conversations happening inside your brain and body every single moment. Think for a moment of a symphony orchestra. If one violin plays too loudly, it can overwhelm the gentle flute. If the drums crash too often, the melody may feel harsh. But when all the instruments play together, balanced and harmonious, a beautiful piece of music emerges. This is how neurotransmitters and hormones work. It is never just one chemical alone. They work in partnership, sometimes supporting, sometimes opposing, always adjusting. And in this dance, the feelings we call emotions rise and fall. For example, when dopamine surges, you may feel a thrill of excitement, the pull of curiosity, the glow of reward. But if serotonin is too low, that excitement may not feel stable. It might tip into restlessness, into frustration, or imagine oxytocin flowing strongly as you sit with friends. It makes you feel safe, connected, belonging. But if cortisol is also high, because you feel anxious or rushed, then the warmth of oxytocin may be shadowed by tension. The moment feels split, part of you comforted, part of you unsettled. This is a hidden truth. Emotions are not on off switches. They are shifting blends, shaped by many chemicals at once. Let me paint you a gentle picture. A young boy runs across a field at dusk. His heart races, adrenaline. He laughs with joy, dopamine. He feels safe with his parents nearby, oxytocin. The cool evening breeze soothes him, endorphins. And as he lies back in the grass, watching the sky turn to stars, a wave of calm steadiness washes over him. Serotonin, this single moment, simple and fleeting, is carried on the shoulders of many messengers, each adding its color, each contributing to the emotional canvas. Another beautiful aspect of these chemicals is how they shape not only emotions, but the connection between body and mind. When cortisol rises, it does not just bring worry. It also tightens muscles, slows digestion, quickens the heart. It whispers to the body, prepare for trouble. When serotonin rises, the body too feels a change. Breathing slows, the stomach rests, the mind steadies. It tells the body peace is possible. And when oxytocin flows, blood pressure softens, the immune system strengthens, and the body itself begins to heal. These are not just emotions in the head. They are whole body experiences, woven by chemistry, felt from head to toe. Perhaps you have noticed this yourself. Think of the nervous butterflies before speaking in front of others. That is adrenaline tightening your stomach, or the glow of calm after sharing laughter with a friend. That is serotonin and endorphins smoothing your inner state, or the sense of safety. When someone gently places a blanket on your shoulders, that is oxytocin reminding you that you are not alone. Everyday life is a conversation between chemistry and experience, between messenger and moment. There is also something truly fascinating. Chemicals can be shaped by thought itself. If you imagine danger, your body may release cortisol, even if no real threat exists. If you imagine warmth and kindness, oxytocin can rise, softening your mood. This is why practices like meditation, gratitude, and visualization can change how we feel. The brain does not always distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined, and so even gentle thoughts can trigger chemical shifts, lifting emotions toward calm. Let me share another gentle story. There was once a painter who loved to create in the quiet of the night. As she mixed her colors, her mind released dopamine, the joy of creating. As she focused deeply, serotonin steadied her mood. Her cat purred beside her, and the oxytocin from this companionship warmed her heart. Hours passed, and though the world outside slept, her inner world glowed bright, painted not only on canvas, but within her very blood and brain. She did not know the names of these chemicals, but she felt their song, and that was enough. The truth is, we are not powerless in the face of chemistry. Yes, messengers flow within us, sometimes beyond our control, but we can invite balance. We can step into the sun and welcome serotonin. We can move our bodies and call forth endorphins. We can share a smile or a hug and release oxytocin. We can rest deeply and allow cortisol to fade away. Every gentle choice we make, to walk, to breathe, to laugh, to connect, becomes a way of speaking to our chemistry, a way of guiding our emotions toward balance and peace. So, dear listener, remember this: your emotions are not random storms. They are the voices of your body's messengers, the flowing language of chemicals, the inner orchestra that plays the song of your life. And just as a conductor guides the instruments, you too can guide them through rest, through care, through gentle choices. In this understanding, there is comfort, for within you lies not only the storm, but also the calm, not only the surge, but also the balance. We have traveled through the orchestra of chemicals, through their harmony and balance, through the way they move between thought and body. Now let us drift deeper into the stories these messengers tell across a lifetime. Imagine a newborn baby, held close against a parent's chest. Tiny breaths rise and fall. Skin touches skin. In this simple contact, oxytocin flows, shaping the first bond of safety. The baby does not know words, but through chemistry, they learn the meaning of love. As the child grows, dopamine begins to guide them, the sparkle of discovery, the thrill of running, the satisfaction of solving a puzzle. All are lit by dopamine's glow. Each small success teaches, this feels good, try again. And so the child learns, grows, reaches outward. Then in teenage years, chemistry swells with intensity. Dopamine rises higher, pulling them toward adventure, risk, curiosity. At the same time, cortisol may surge more easily, bringing storms of worry or anger. The orchestra plays loudly now, sometimes beautifully, sometimes chaotically. But this too is part of life's design, teaching resilience, shaping the ability to navigate emotions. In adulthood, the dance shifts again. Serotonin becomes a grounding anchor, bringing steadiness, a sense of rhythm. Oxytocin weaves into relationships, friendships, partnerships, family, and dopamine, still present, becomes less about wild discovery and more about meaningful goals. Even here, chemistry is guiding, the drive to care for others, to build, to create, is not only willpower, it is oxytocin and dopamine working hand in hand. And in later life, the symphony softens. Endorphins rise more gently. In response to laughter, sunlight, memories, serotonin steadies the soul. Oxytocin comforts in companionship. The orchestra quiets, but does not fade. Even in age, chemistry keeps singing, the song of emotion. You see, emotions are not accidents. They are part of an elegant design that accompanies us from the first breath to the very last, a surge of adrenaline when danger approaches, protecting life, a glow of oxytocin when we feel loved, nurturing bonds, a wave of dopamine when we explore, driving growth. Each messenger has a purpose. Each one is a gift. Together, they form the language of feelings, a language older than speech, deeper than thought. Let us pause and take this thought inward. Right now, as you listen, your brain is releasing tiny messengers. Perhaps dopamine rises a little. As curiosity stirs within you, perhaps serotonin soothes. As you rest and listen softly, perhaps oxytocin glows faintly. because in this quiet moment, you feel a sense of connection to knowledge, to story, to the calm unfolding around you. The science you hear is not only about others, it is alive in you in this very moment. There is also a deeper truth here. Emotions are not meant to be judged. They are meant to be understood. If cortisol surges, it is not the enemy. It is a messenger saying, something feels unsafe. If sadness rises with serotonin low, it is not weakness. It is the body asking, can you rest? Can you heal? When we learn to listen, to see chemicals not as punishments, but as signals, we begin to treat ourselves with gentleness. We begin to honor the wisdom woven into our chemistry. Another gentle story, to rest in your mind. There was once an old gardener who loved tending flowers in his courtyard. Each morning, he watered the plants, and each evening he sat to watch the sunset. What he did not know was that his brain was quietly balancing him. The peace of his garden lifted his serotonin. The laughter of his grandchildren released oxytocin. The pride in each bloom sparked dopamine. And the gentle work of gardening flowed endorphins through his body. Though he knew no science, his chemistry sang with joy. And in this song, his emotions found harmony. So, my dear listener, as we close this chapter, remember, emotions are not simply moods. They are the voice of messengers, the work of chemicals flowing within you, ancient and wise. They shape your laughter, your tears, your courage, your comfort. They are your body's way of guiding you through the world. And though invisible, they're always there, painting your inner landscape, guiding your journey, singing the song of what it means to be human. When we think of emotions, we often imagine them as feelings inside the mind, a storm of thoughts, or a whisper of moods. But emotions do not live in the brain alone. They ripple through the body, shaping every heartbeat, every breath, every subtle sensation. The connection between emotions and the body is like the tide meeting the shore. One moves, and the other responds. They are never separate, always entwined. Think of fear, that sharp, sudden feeling. When you hear a loud noise or sense something unexpected, your brain reacts, yes, but so does your body. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your breath quickens. Fear is not only a thought, it is an experience written across your entire being. Or think of joy, not the quiet kind, but the bright, glowing joy that arrives with laughter, or reunion, or surprise. You do not only think it, you feel it. A warmth spreads through your chest. Your face lights with a smile. Energy flows outward as though the body itself is dancing in celebration. This is the truth of emotions. They are both mental and physical. They are not separate streams, but one flowing river. Science helps us trace this connection. At the center is the autonomic nervous system, a delicate network that runs silently through your body. It is always active, always responding to how you feel. When you are calm, the parasympathetic system guides you. Your heartbeat slows, your breath deepens, your digestion steadies. This is sometimes called the rest and digest state. But when you feel stressed, the sympathetic system rises. It prepares you to move, to protect yourself, to act quickly. Your pulse races, your blood pressure rises. This is a fight or flight response. Together, these two systems translate emotion into sensation. turning thoughts into the rhythms of the body. Pause for a moment and notice your own body. Perhaps your shoulders hold a little tension. Perhaps your breath is steady and soft. These quiet signals are not random. They are messages, your body reflecting your emotional state. Have you ever noticed when sadness lingers, the body feels heavy, the chest may ache, the eyes may water, the muscles grow weary? This is not imagination. It is emotion written as sensation. And when excitement arrives, do you feel that flutter in your stomach, the so-called butterflies? That, too, is chemistry meeting nerves, the body echoing what the mind feels. Stories help us see this more clearly. Imagine a musician about to step on stage. She has practiced for months, yet as the moment approaches, her body tells a story first. Her palms grow damp. Her heart pounds. Her throat feels tight. This is not weakness. It is her body preparing her for something important. Emotion is not trapped in her thoughts. It flows through her entire being, readying her for performance. And then, as she begins to play, something shifts. Her breathing steadies. Her heart slows into rhythm. The music carries her, and her body softens into harmony with her mind. Science gives language to what the musician felt. Adrenaline surged before performance, causing her body to prepare for action. But once her brain recognized safety, endorphins and dopamine began to calm and reward her. Her emotional state was reflected directly in her body, like the two ends of a bridge, meeting in the middle. This connection between body and emotion is not only about dramatic moments, it lives in everyday life. When you smile, even gently, your brain responds by releasing chemicals that make you feel better. A simple gesture of the face sends ripples inward. When you breathe slowly, deep into the belly, your parasympathetic system awakens. Your body tells the brain, "We are safe." And the brain answers by softening emotion. The body and the mind are not separate realms. They are one system, one song, echoing through different instruments. So, dear listener, remember this. When you feel something deeply, your body is speaking to. Every heartbeat, every breath, every small sensation is part of the story of emotion. And when you care for your body through rest, through breathing, through movement, you are also caring for your emotional self. The connection is unbreakable, gentle, and profound. We have already seen how emotions flow from the brain into the body, painting each heartbeat and breath with their colors. Now let us walk slowly, step by step, through some of the most fascinating ways. This connection reveals itself. The heart has long been a symbol of feeling, spoken of in poetry, songs, and stories. But science shows us that this symbol is not only metaphor. The heart truly dances to the rhythms of our emotions. When you feel fear, the heart races. When you feel calm, the heart softens its pace. Even subtle shifts, a touch of nervousness, a wave of relief can be seen in the patterns of your heartbeat. Researchers call this heart rate variability, the tiny changes in the time between each beat. When emotions are balanced and calm, this variability is healthy and flexible. When emotions are stressed or strained, the rhythm grows rigid, like music losing its flow. Some scientists even speak of the heart-brain connection, a silent dialogue of signals. Nerves travel both ways, from the brain to the heart, and from the heart to the brain. Each informs the other, like two old friends in conversation. Now, listen to your breath. Inhale and exhale. Notice how your emotions shift the rhythm. When you are anxious, the breath grows shallow, fast, like a fluttering bird. When you are peaceful, it deepens, steady and slow. This is not only a reflection, it is a feedback loop. Emotions shape the breath, and the breath shapes emotion. It is why practices like meditation, yoga, or simply pausing to breathe deeply have such power. They remind the body to whisper safety. Back to the mind. Through breath, we can calm storms, brighten moods, or settle into rest. Our skin, too, that quiet shield between us and the world, carries emotion's signature. When embarrassed, the cheeks flush with warmth. When startled, goosebumps prickle across the arms. When afraid, sweat beads gently on the palms. These are not random. They are ancient signals, carved into our biology. By the long story of evolution, blushing may tell others of honesty or vulnerability. Goosebumps once helped our ancestors' hair stand tall, making them look larger to threats. Even sweat, though sometimes inconvenient, was a way to cool the body as it prepared for sudden action. The skin is a canvas, painted quietly by the colors of the heart. Perhaps you have felt it before. Nervousness, not in the mind, but in the belly. We call it butterflies in the stomach, but it is more than a phrase. The gut is sometimes called our second brain. It holds millions of neurons, communicating constantly with the brain in our skull. This network is called the enteric nervous system, and it plays a key role in shaping emotion. When you are stressed, digestion slows. Influence mood. They create chemicals that affect the brain, serotonin, dopamine, and more. In this way, what happens in the belly is tied delicately to what we feel in the heart. Have you noticed that sadness makes the body heavy, while joy makes it light? Muscles reflect our inner state. Stress tightens them, especially in the shoulders, the neck, the jaw. Calmness relaxes them, softening posture, loosening grip, even small expressions. A smile, a frown, a raised brow are micro-muscle movements that reveal the invisible currents of emotion. And here, too, the feedback flows both ways. When you choose to smile, even gently, the brain releases signals of happiness. When you unclench the jaw or let the shoulders drop, the nervous system eases. The body, once again, guides the mind. Through all these examples, we see one truth. The body is not separate from feeling. It is the stage upon which emotions play. And when you listen closely, you can hear the dialogue, the breath, the heartbeat, the warmth of the skin, the weight of the muscles, all of them whispering, "This is how you feel." Stories, once again, help us bring this to life. Imagine a child running joyfully through a field. Her laughter rings out. Her breath is quick, but not from fear, from play. Her cheeks are flushed, her muscles alive with movement. Joy is not just a thought in her head. It is her entire body, radiating energy. Now imagine a man sitting quietly, grieving a loss. His shoulders curl inward. His breath is slow, sometimes broken. His chest feels heavy, his limbs weak. Sadness, too, is not only in the mind. It is etched into his posture. his breath, his very skin. In both stories, emotion and body are inseparable companions. And so, as we walk through life, it is helpful to remember this. Caring for the body through rest, through breath, through kind movement is also caring for the emotions. The two cannot be untangled. The connection is profound, quiet, and constant. And when we honor it, we bring balance to both body and mind. We have wandered through the heart, the breath, the skin, the stomach, and the muscles. Now, let us gather these pieces together and look at the bigger picture, how emotions and the body form. A single living system. Think of the body as a translator, converting invisible feelings into physical signs. When joy rises, the body smiles, the eyes sparkle, the chest feels open. When anger burns, the face tightens, the muscles brace, the pulse surges. Sometimes the body even speaks emotions before the mind notices. Perhaps you have felt your hands tremble or your stomach sink before you realize you were afraid. The body whispers truth quietly before thought catches up. Scientists call this embodied emotion. It means that emotions are not just mental events, but lived, felt in the very tissues of our being. Because emotions live in the body, they shape our health in subtle, yet powerful ways. Chronic stress, when carried for too long, tightens the muscles, raises blood pressure, weakens immunity. The body, in a constant state of readiness, grows weary. On the other hand, positive emotions, calmness, gratitude, joy, send gentle waves of healing. They lower tension, steady the heart, support sleep, and encourage resilience. This is why laughter, friendship, and kindness are not luxuries. They are medicines woven quietly into daily life. One gentle way to understand emotions is to notice them in the body first. This practice is sometimes called interoception, the awareness of internal sensations. Try this. Close your eyes and listen to your body. Feel the breath moving softly in and out. Notice your heart beating steadily. Sense any tension in the shoulders, in the jaw, in the belly. Each of these sensations is a clue, a whisper of the emotions flowing beneath the surface. When we learn to listen, we can respond with kindness, resting when tired, breathing when tense, moving when restless. This gentle attention helps us care for both body and mind. Let me share with you a story. There was once a teacher who every morning paused at her desk. Before class began, she would take 3 slow breaths, relax her shoulders, and feel her feet touch the ground. Her students did not know she was doing this, but they noticed that she always began class calm, steady, and patient. Her body, settled and kind, shaped her emotions, which then shaped the atmosphere of the room. Another story tells of a musician who felt stage fright before every performance. His heart raced, his palms sweated, his stomach tightened. For years he saw this as weakness, but then a mentor told him, these feelings are not enemies. They are your body preparing to give energy to share music. And so he began to welcome the racing heart, the sweating palms. He turned fear into fuel, and the music that flowed was alive, vivid, full of emotion. From these reflections, a beautiful truth becomes clear. Emotions and the body do not move in one direction only. It is not simply that emotions affect the body. The body, too, affects emotions. This is the loop, the circle. When you are sad, you may walk slowly, head bowed, but if you choose to walk upright, lifting your gaze, your mood may gently shift. When anxious, your breath is fast, but if you slow the breath, the mind begins to soften. When lonely, your body aches for connection, but if you share a smile, offer a hug, or simply sit with another, warmth begins to grow again. The loop is constant, flowing like tides, and we, when aware of it, can gently guide it. Think of the body and emotions as musicians in an orchestra. When one is out of tune, the whole song feels strained. But when both are in harmony, life feels like music, steady, flowing, whole. The body sings emotions. The emotions shape the body. Together, they write the melody of our days. This is why practices of calm, stretching, breathing, walking slowly, or simply resting are so precious. They tune the instrument of the body so that the music of emotion can play with balance and grace. And so we close this reflection, this quiet step on our journey. We have seen how emotions do not float above us as abstract ideas. They live here in the heartbeat, the breath, the skin, the stomach, the muscles. They are written into posture, expression, and health. The body and emotion are not two. They are one. And when we treat them as one, we live with greater gentleness, greater care, and deeper peace. Emotions, dear listener, are not accidents of the mind. They are not flaws, nor distractions, nor obstacles to overcome. Instead, they are ancient tools woven into the very heart of human survival. Imagine, for a moment, our earliest ancestors living on the wide open plains, without language, without books, without science. How would they know what was safe and what was dangerous? Fear, that quick rush of the heart, the sudden alertness, it warned of predators, of storms, of the unknown. Fear kept them alive. Joy, the warmth of companionship, the comfort of laughter. It drew people together. It made bonds strong, families close, communities united. Anger, though fierce, stood as a protector. It gave courage to defend loved ones, to stand against injustice, to guard precious resources. And sadness, soft and heavy, opened the heart. It invited reflection, brought people closer in grief, and helped them learn from loss. So, you see, every emotion has a purpose. Each one is like a compass, pointing us toward what matters most. Think of emotions as little lanterns, shining light on the path of life. When you feel joy, your lantern glows brightly, showing you that something is good, something is nourishing. When you feel fear, the lantern warns, be cautious here, step carefully. When you feel anger, it says, something important is being threatened, pay attention, stand firm. When sadness falls, the lantern dims, inviting rest, inviting healing, a reminder that love and loss are two sides of the same coin. Without these signals, life would be a flat plane without direction. But with them, we move, we grow, we survive, and we connect. Another way to think of emotions is to imagine them as colors. Joy paints the sky gold, love a gentle pink, fear a sharp, alert red, sadness a soft blue. Without emotions, life would be gray, safe perhaps, but empty. With emotions, life is vivid, changing, alive. So, the first purpose of emotions, we can say, is to guide us, to keep us safe, to help us choose, and to color the human experience with meaning beyond survival. Emotions have another purpose. They teach us, and they connect us to one another. Have you ever noticed how strong emotions leave the deepest memories? Think of your childhood. You may not recall every ordinary day, but you remember the birthday with laughter and cake. You remember the sting of a harsh word or the comfort of a warm hug. Emotions make experiences memorable. They mark events as important, so the mind will not forget. This is how we learn. When fear teaches us caution, we remember the lesson. When joy rewards our efforts, we seek that path again. When sadness shows us the cost of loss, we learn to cherish what remains. In this way, emotions are like teachers, patient, firm, and wise. Emotions also serve another quiet, beautiful purpose. They knit people together. When someone smiles, we often smile back. When someone cries, our heart aches with theirs. This is empathy, the bridge of emotion that crosses from one heart to another. It is emotions that allow a mother to comfort her child, a friend to share in laughter, a stranger to offer kindness. Without emotions, society would be cold, mechanical, disconnected. With emotions, we share not only words, but feelings, and that sharing creates love, family, community, humanity. There's an old story of a small village where once a great storm destroyed many homes. The people gathered together in sorrow. They shared tears. They shared food. They shared shelter. In that sadness, a deeper bond was formed. When they rebuilt their homes, they also rebuilt their sense of unity. It was grief that drew them closer. Sadness, serving its quiet purpose, strengthened their community. So emotions, even the heavy ones, are not enemies. They are threads that weave people together. Finally, dear listener, emotions guide not only survival and connection, but also growth and the search for meaning. Emotions push us to move beyond where we are. Frustration pushes us to improve. Curiosity pulls us to explore. Hope encourages us to endure. Through difficulty, love inspires sacrifice, service, creation. Without emotions, perhaps we would survive, but would we truly flourish? It is emotion that drives the artist to paint, the scientist to discover, the parent to nurture, the dreamer to build. Emotions also remind us what truly matters. The joy of love tells us that relationships are precious. The pain of grief tells us that bonds are irreplaceable. The thrill of achievement tells us that effort is worthwhile. In this way, emotions act as mirrors, reflecting back to us our deepest values. When you feel strongly, positive or negative, it is a signal. This matters. This is important. This is part of who I am. Of course, no single emotion can rule forever. Too much fear, and life shrinks. Too much anger, and bridges burn. Too much sadness and hope fades. Even too much joy, without balance, can blind us to danger. So the true purpose of emotions is not to dominate, but to balance. They rise and fall like tides, each one having its moment, its role, its teaching. When we learn to listen, to accept, and to gently guide them, we live in harmony. And so we arrive at the final thought. Emotions are guides, teachers, connectors, and mirrors. They keep us safe. They help us grow. They color our world, and they give meaning to life. To live without emotion would be to live without color, without music, without light. But to live with emotion, gently, wisely, is to live fully, deeply, and beautifully. So, as you drift into rest, remember this. Your emotions are not flaws, but gifts. They are here to keep you safe, to connect you with others, to guide you toward growth, and to remind you of what matters most. And with that, dear friend, I offer you peace. I offer you rest. I offer you blessings. Good night and goodbye.